Hello, my name is Gloria Urrea.
And my name is Une Yu.
In this video, we would like to give you an overview of our recently accepted paper, where we study the role of volunteer experience on performance on online volunteering platforms. Online volunteering platforms have emerged as a powerful technology through which humanitarian organizations can engage with volunteers. So these organizations submit projects and provide a description as well as a list of tasks to be completed, while volunteers log on to the platform and find projects they want to contribute towards, and they start contributing these tasks completely remotely. A key advantage of online volunteering platforms is that they provide humanitarian organizations with access to a broader pool of volunteers, since time and space are minimal concerns. However, a larger volunteer pool also introduces greater heterogeneity in their experience at performing the tasks required. Therefore, to leverage online volunteering platforms effectively, humanitarian organizations must understand how to manage online volunteers with varying levels of experience. And this is precisely the focus of our study. Specifically, we asked the following two research questions. First, how does volunteers' experience impact two performance metrics on online volunteering platforms, that is project completion rate and volunteer retention? And the second research question is, under which conditions experience becomes more relevant to project completion rate and retention? And here we focus on the level of project urgency. To answer these research questions, we collected data from the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap Tasking Manager, which focuses on mapping projects around the world. An example of a mapping project is using satellite imagery to identify damaged buildings after an earthquake. In 2019, this platform had over 2,400 mapping projects and over 51,000 volunteers. Important for our study, this platform categorizes volunteers in three groups based on experience: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So we can objectively study how these different levels of experience influence volunteer productivity and retention.
Our results, first of all, indicate that the completion rate of a project tends to improve with the experience of the volunteers, but that this effect does diminish with experience. Interestingly, we also find that the rate at which online volunteers contribute towards project completion rate at each experience level is actually going to depend on what we call the urgency of a project. So what we find is that experienced volunteers or intermediate and advanced volunteers tend to be more productive for urgent projects, whereas inexperienced volunteers or beginner volunteers tend to be more productive for non-urgent projects. This finding has direct implications for the targeted recruitment and allocation of online volunteers. So, for example, humanitarian organizations might leverage communication platforms like Slack to build separate communication channels for online volunteers at each experience level. Online volunteering platforms, on the other hand, might consider redesigning their platform. One example might be they might want to customize the front page that online volunteers see when they log in, so that online volunteers see the projects that they would be most productive for, depending on which experience level they're at. Regarding retention, we find that the retention of online volunteers is incentivized by symbolic rewards on these platforms. Specifically, we consider every experience level as a rank, right? So we have the intermediate rank, we have the advanced rank. And what we find is that as online volunteers actually get closer and closer towards achieving the next rank, they come to the platform more quickly. In other words, their retention improves. And this effect does weaken, though, as they become more experienced. So what this finding suggests for online volunteering platforms is that they may consider expanding the number of ranks that they show online volunteers, especially for beginner volunteers, since their behavior or their retention tends to be motivated by these symbolic rewards or these experience-based ranks. So in closing, we would like to thank the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team and Crowd2Map Tanzania for their support to our research, for helping us understand this context. We would also like to thank Alfonso Pedraza Martinez, Elliot Rabinovich, and Sebastian Villa for their comments on earlier versions of the paper. And lastly, of course, we would love to gratefully acknowledge the insights from the editorial review team. Thank you very much.